Okay, here's a few more examples from 7.1. So the first one, we're going to convert to a fraction from a percent. So what we do is we're going to drop the percent and write our number over 100. So first we need to get this to be an improper fraction. So 8 times 8 is 64 plus 5, that's going to give us 69 over 8. And then to drop the percent, you're going to put it over 100 after that. Now what do we do? Well, now we multiply by 1 over 100, multiply by 1 over 100. And so down here, those cancel. Now 69, that's going to be 3's and things like that, which don't cancel anything here. So what we get is 69 times 1 is 69. 8 times 100 is 800. And that's as far as we can go. So that would be then our fraction representation of the percent 8 and 5/8%. Now 130. Okay, well that's going to be a nice one because all we have to do is we drop our percent, 130, put it over 100 because that means per 100%, and then reduce. Okay, well the first thing I can see is I can reduce. I'll go ahead and put this in a different color. And so we have, I can cancel and divide top and bottom by 10. Then that gives me 13 over 10. So I've reduced it a little bit already. Now I think about that, 13 over 10, can I do anything with that? 13 is a prime number, so I can't reduce that. And so then that is going to be my final answer, 13 over 10, which is equivalent to 130%. All right, so here we're converting to a decimal from a percent. So what do we do there? Well, when we do that, basically we drop our percent sign, so we have 5.4. And then what we have to do is we're going to move our decimal to the left. And so I'm going to have 1, 2. So that's going to be equal to 0.054. And that's going to be my decimal representation from a percent. Okay. And so that would be my final answer. All I did was I dropped the percent, moved the decimal twice, and that's my answer. Same thing goes here on the next one. We're going to drop a percent, 39.7. We're going to move our decimal 2 places to the left, 1, 2. And so now we have 0.397, and that's going to be my decimal equivalent to 39.7%. Now the key thing here is all this converting here at this point, like from percent to decimal, or, and then the next one here, decimal to a percent. These are going to come in handy later in the chapter where we're working with interest rates, things like that, because you have to convert from a percent to a decimal, or if you find a decimal value, then you have to convert it to a percent. So these are going to be handy when we get to those. All right, so here we're converting from the decimal, 0.05, to the percent. So when we do that, we're going to move it 2 places to the right, and then we're going to add a percent sign. So that's going to be 5%. Okay. What about this one? Well, if we put this over here, 0.0044, we move the decimal 2 to the right, and then we add a percent sign, we'll get 0.44%. And so that would be the equivalent percent to that decimal, and this is the equivalent percent to 0.05 decimal. Okay. And here what we want to do is we want to convert from the fraction, the 23/8 or the 11/9, and we want to convert those to percents. And again, remember there's 2 different ways we can do that. We can just do the division first and then move our decimal place, or we can do a proportion and then get our value and just add a percent sign. So let's first take and do 8 into 23. And I don't know how many decimal places I need to go out there. And so when I do that, I'm going to have to say, okay, well, 8 times what? Well, 8 times 2 is going to give me 16. If I subtract that, that's going to be a 7. Bring down a 0. That's going to be an 8. That's going to be 64. Subtract that, that's going to be 6. Bring down a 0. That's going to be a 7. That's going to be a 56. Subtract that, that's 4. Bring down another 0. That's going to be a 5. That's going to be 40. Subtract that, that's 0. So this fraction itself is equivalent to the decimal 2.8 2.875. So we could have, done that directly if we had the use of calculators, which we don't for this class, but you could just divide those out and you get this answer here, which is what we just did here. Now we take that number, 2.875, we want to convert to a percent, so we're going to move the decimal 1, 2 to the right, and then add a percent sign, so that gives us 287.5, and add a percent, and we get percent there. And so that is the equivalent percent to 23/8. Okay. Now, we could also do this as 23/8 equals x over 100. And so now we're solving the proportion. So to solve those, remember we do the cross product. So that's going to be 23 times 100 over, oh, oops, not over yet, equals, and then 8 times x. Now we can say it's divide both sides by 8. And so those go away and we get x equals, now whatever we get this x equal to, that's going to be what this is. And then that's going to be, basically we just take that number, add a percent, drop this over 100, and we'll have our actual percent. So 2300 divided by 8. Now, if you notice, all we're really doing is moving the decimal place over to here, so that gives us 287.5, but we'll go ahead and do the whole shebang here. So that's going to be 2, that's going to give us 16, subtract, that's a 7, bring down our 0, that's going to give us the 8, and then that's going to be 64, subtract that, that's going to give us 6, bring down another 0, and if we multiply that times 7, that gives us a 56, subtract that, we get 4, now we have to add that extra 0, bring that down at 0, so that's going to be a 5, that's going to be 40, subtract that, that's 0, so this is 287.5, and then if we have that over the 100, we can do drop the 100 and then just add a percent sign, and so this is 287.5%. And again, no matter which way we did it, they match. Okay. All right, so this one here, 11/9, and if you notice, the ones that have something bigger in the numerator than in the denominator always have a percent over 100, and that's going to be the case here. We're going to have a percent greater than 100 again, and so we're going to divide 9 into 11, and again, I don't know how many decimal places we'll need, so we'll put 1 here, that's 9, subtract, that's going to be 2, bring that down, that's going to be 0, and if we multiply that by 2 now, that's going to be 18, and we subtract, that's 2. This is looking like it's going to be just changing numbers all the time. Oh, that's a 0, not a double. And so then that's going to be a 2 again, and that's going to be 18. We're going to subtract, that's 0, or not 0, 2. And so bring that down again, that's 0, that's 2. So we get 1.22222. It just repeats, okay? So this is equal to 1.2222 repeating. And we better just say approximately. We'll just drop off that last 2 because when we round it up, it's not going to be anything. All right. So now we convert that to percent by taking 1.2222. I don't know how many, let's do 4. And then we move the decimal 1, 2 places. So that gives us 122.22, and then we add our percent, and we have that as our final answer. And again, maybe we only wanted it to the 1/10 of a decimal, and so that'd be 122.2%, and that would be what it is. So it kind of depends. Sometimes I'll tell you if you have a repeating decimal, then to take it to the nearest 10th, maybe to the nearest 100th in this case. It just depends on how it is. All right, so fractional, the proportions again, we can do 11 over 9 equals x over 100. So we can cross multiply, and 11 times 100 equals 9 times x. And so we divide by 9, divide by 9. So x equals 1100 over 9. So now we do that division. And again, we're going to get 1100.00. So that's going to be a 2, whoops, 1. Where did I get 2 at? 1 here, and that's a 9. Subtract that off, we get 2. Bring down our 0, and now it's going to be a 2, and that's 18, and then 2. Now we bring down our 0, and that's going to be a 2 again, and then we have that, and again, it just repeats and repeats and repeats. And so at this point, we can say, okay, well, we just want the 1 decimal place, so that's 122.2, and that's what X is, and that's over 100. So if we drop the 100, we can add the percent, and then that's going to be our percent there. All right, that's all I have for extra examples for this section.